I see that. Thanks, Adonai. Was everyone able to click the globe icon with your preferred language? You see that down at the bottom? If you don't pick your language, you'll hear both languages. So yeah, let me know if anyone's having a hard time with that. Okay, welcome everybody. And once again, everyone can see the presentation here?
Yep.
Awesome, great. Okay, we can get started. This is really exciting. Welcome everybody to our first Community Food Consortium meeting. So you are here because you received a grant, you received a tax credit, or you submitted an application to join this group. However you made it here, thank you for joining us. We are really excited to bring together stores, farm stands, farmers markets, and farmers who are all doing this really important work across the state to bring healthy food to your communities. So to get to know each other, it would be wonderful if you could type your name in the chat. And if you have never used the chat before, there's a bar at the bottom of your screen where you found the globe that says chat. So click on that. And if you could type in the chat your name, your business's name, and the city your business is located in. We can all kind of see who all is here. Okay. So we will get started here with a few introductions. So my name is Mickey Davis. I'm the program manager. Adonai, you want to introduce yourself?
Claro, mi nombre es Adonai Cuevas y soy el especialista en subvenciones del programa.
Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. Welcome everyone. I'm Michelle Meyer. I'm a senior program manager working with Mickey and Adonai at the Department of Ag.
So we are the Community Food Access team. You've probably exchanged an email or two or more with one of us. Michelle's our boss, but it's pretty much just me and Adonai as the Community Food Access team managing the grant, the tax credit, and this consortium. So this is us. And Michelle helps us a lot. She's not just our boss. So yeah, it's going to be us leading this work with the consortium. So before we get into things with this presentation, I wanted you all to have the link for the consortium member resource folder. This was sent to you over a few emails, but we can drop that link to the chat. We're going to be going through this folder and showing you what's in there so that you have that, you know how to use it. And yeah, this is going to be a place where, yeah, all of our resources are put for this consortium. So in this first meeting here with the consortium, we're going to start with purpose of what we're all here for and what this group is here for. We'll talk about some of the activities that the consortium already has, and then we'll get in specifically to some of those activities. So the member benefits that are available to you through food hubs and the consortium tax credit. So we're really going to get into the weeds here on this opportunity for your businesses to take advantage of a tax credit. So we're going to spend a lot of time with that. And then we'll have some time to talk about what are the next steps for this group. Where do we want this group to go? We have some ideas, but we want to make this group something that's useful to you. We think there's a lot of benefit of all of us just meeting, but we want to make sure what we're offering through this group is something that's useful and solves problems that you all are experiencing. Does anyone know how to delete this little line here? I think someone maybe used a pen accidentally on this presentation, which is very welcome. Okay, if not, it'll just be there for the rest of the presentation. So, yes, as you all are probably pretty familiar, this whole community food access program, the grant, the tax credit, and this consortium was set up through legislation. So our Colorado state legislators identified that this is a need, and that this program should be set up with a very distinct purpose in mind. So that purpose is here directly from the legislation. So the purpose of this program is to improve access to and lower prices for healthy food in low income and underserved areas of the state by supporting small food retailers. So we've got a lot of small food retailers here. This group specifically, separate from the grant, which is supposed to support small food retailers with equipment and operating expenses and the new tax credit for equipment, this consortium is sort of designed to do something a little different, offer support in a different way. So it was identified that distribution is a big challenge for some small food retailers, and high pricing is a challenge for some small food retailers. Also, connection to agricultural producers is another legislatively defined goal of this group. So knowing these goals, the Colorado Department of Agriculture has set up a few activities for this consortium. So we're going to talk about the member benefits through food hubs that will be offered, the tax credits, as I mentioned, but we'll also plan with this consortium to host quarterly meetings. We'll have a newsletter that will be sharing resources and opportunities. We also have the opportunity to make this more. So we'll be talking about all of those today, but I'm going to just pause there and ask you all, do you have any questions about the consortium or what the planned activities are so far? Feel free to just come off of mute and ask your question. If not, keep going. Okay, so we'll start first with those food hub benefits. So as I mentioned in this slide, the consortium's purpose is to address the distribution challenges, pricing challenges, and the challenge of connecting to agricultural producers in the state. So one big way CDA decided to address all three of those issues was by working with 3 food hubs throughout the state. So you'll see in this map listed all 3 of those food hubs and their service area. So if you are a retailer, take a look at this map and identify which food hub is servicing you. And yeah, we have listed out all of the benefits that they are offering on that in your consortium member resource folder. And they are slightly different for each service area. But yeah, all 3 of these food hubs are tasked with addressing those challenges of distribution, pricing, and connection to Colorado ag. So, reduced minimums, reduced delivery fees, special price lists or discounts, and a lot more. So please go look at what those benefits are in your area and reach out to establish yourself as a customer. This These benefits will be available through the end of 2026. So we really encourage you to make that connection now and start taking advantage of what these food hubs have to offer. I wanted to give a chance for the food hubs who are present on this call to just introduce yourselves and say anything you'd like about this work.
Well, hi, my name's Matthew Cottonstedt. I'm with Farm Runners out on the Western Slope. We're based in Hotchkiss, Colorado. We're excited to be able to continue to work with farms and get their produce to those of you that need it, and really all the way across the Western Slope of Colorado. So please reach out to us. We'd love to learn how we can serve you and help you guys get this Colorado produce out to your community. And we also have a small retail store here in Hotchkiss, Colorado. So we do have some experience already working with agricultural producers, and we also have our own struggles with our retail store. So happy to be here to learn from each other and offer an ear as well as maybe some advice or service to some of you. So thanks, and look forward to meeting some of you.
Thanks, Matt. Eileen, go ahead.
Yeah. So my name's Eileen O'Rourke, and I am part of the Ag and Food Lab, which is the sister nonprofit for the East Denver Food Hub. So I'm here on behalf of East Denver Food Hub. And I hope those in Region 1 received a flyer that kind of just summarizes what our services are. And what the Ag and Food Lab is going to try to do is really facilitate the communications, right? If you have any questions, and then what we'll be doing is sending out a survey to you all at some point to really capture your the impact, positive or negative, that the program is having on your business. And is there anything else you wanted me to share, Mickey? That's good.
I love it. Yeah, Eileen's contact information is all in that flyer, which is in our consortium member resource folder. But yeah, these folks are here ready to help get you set up and help troubleshoot some of your challenges and yeah, try to address them. So thanks for those introductions. Is Nick or Al, anyone from Valley Roots on the call? Okay. Not seeing that. So we can move on. Any questions about the member benefits available to you through food hubs?
I'm from Cortez. I've reached out to Valley Roots Food Hub, and I'm a farmer. They don't pick up this far out. Is there anything that we can do to, I guess, try to get our produce from down here to the community at large?
That's a really great question. So, yeah, I think for farmers who are in this group, we do want to help connect you to small food retailers. And if there is a chance for these food hubs to work with you, I think that's something we want to try to facilitate. But if there's also ways that we can connect you just directly to retailers, we want to explore that as well. So really good question. And I think something that we'll want to talk about more at the end of this meeting when we get to, break out into different groups and just have an open discussion. So thanks for bringing that up.
Seth, can you repeat where you're located?
Yeah, I'm just outside of Cortez.
Cortez, okay.
Susan, go ahead.
Thanks. So I'm a farmer in Canyon City, and I sell a lot through Valley Roots. And I'm disappointed that no one is here from there, because this question is probably directed to them, but maybe you or one of the other hub people can answer it. I know that as a recipient of this grant, I'm not expected to lower my prices, but I feel like that I should make an effort to do so. And I'm willing to do that. But right now, when I list my product on the Valley Roots sales platform, there's really no, I would like to know if there's going to be a way to maybe offer things at lower prices to Lila retailers, you know, because I don't want to lower it for, you know, independent restaurants, and I sell a lot to them, but I would like to be able to lower my price for, you know, Lila retailers. Can anyone speak to that?
I can jump on. My name's Emma. I'm also with Farm Runners, and maybe Matt can talk to this a little bit more. We work with Valley Roots pretty closely, so my assumption is that they're going to be similar to what we're doing, and Mickey could talk a little bit more about what their commitment is. But for us, we have a platform where we can specifically draw out just retailers. So on our end, yes, we can just lower the rate to retailers versus restaurants. And I'm sure that Valley Roots with their software will be able to do that as well. I'm not sure where Valley Roots stands with this. We personally as farm runners are not asking our producers to lower their rates. We have just taken a lower rate ourselves because we believe that farmers should be getting paid. So it definitely would be something to check in with Al and Nick about, but I'm sure that they will be able to just peg out those retailers for you.
Thanks.
Thanks for this discussion. Yeah, and as Amanda put in the chat here, and I'm sorry, Amanda, I didn't get to introduce you. She's also with us here at CDA. She's also our boss. They are in a management transition right now, so that may be the reason why they're not present. But this is exactly the kinds of discussion that we want to be having with them. And yeah, we are so grateful to all 3 food hubs who have stepped up to take on this really challenging work of, yeah, trying to meet these needs. So that's exactly something we'll be wanting to bring up with Valley Roots. Yeah, as feedback coming from farmers and also retailers who are hoping for, yeah, better pricing. Dr. Pena, go ahead.
Thank you, Mickey. This conversation leads me to think about 2 issues. One is that the Valley Roots Food Hub area is way too big, and that it's not very realistic to expect to go over Wolf Creek Pass to make deliveries or pickup. And I wonder if this raises the question of a second western slope. In addition to the farm runners, I wonder if if there's any possibility. I don't believe Farm Runners goes all the way down to Durango. I can't tell from this map, but maybe something centered in Durango is needed, because otherwise I think that a lot of farmers are going to have trouble making use of the Valley Roots Food Hub. There's one issue that comes to mind. The second issue is one of the ways to get at one of the issues raised by the gentle person from Cortez. One of the things we've done is to integrate our commercial kitchen operations into a deli service at the market, so that this allows us to reduce costs and reduce having to buy from AFI or other suppliers things like deli sandwiches. And this increases the traffic. And for the Hotchkiss colleague, I really recommend you all look at combining in-house meal services that would really help bring customers if you're having issues with your retail operation. But we have found that really helps draw people to the market, the San Luis People's Market. And also, this may sound like kind of irrelevant, but the community asked us for two other services that we provide or are getting ready to provide with our reopening. One is hunting and fishing licenses. There's no place within the county right now that offers hunting and fishing licenses, and yet hunting and fishing is an important part of people's local diet and their food security. So that's a service that you can think about providing that may attract more people to your market. And then the second thing we're going to do is lotto sales. We had a long debate because a lot of us didn't like the idea, including myself, but the community is asking for it. And we thought, well, okay, come buy a lotto ticket and we'll get you hooked on healthy food while you're there. And so I encourage you to diversify what you're doing inside the market and not just sell produce, for example, but to try to diversify what you're doing inside your retail establishment. Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Pena. Yeah, it's I love all that you said because it really represents what this consortium can be, right? We are really focused on expanding access to healthy food, but that's probably going to happen through a lot of different roads, right? Whether maybe lotto tickets are directly related to increasing access to healthy food. You know, these are the kinds of things we want to explore as a group for the benefit of all the retailers in this call. So thank you so much for bringing those points up. And for all those sorts of ideas that are coming up throughout this call, maybe jot them down and we'll have some time to get into groups and just discuss whatever's coming up as we talk about, what this consortium can be. I do, Dr. Pena, just want to draw your attention to the chat. Valley Roots does already regularly go to Durango. So yeah, they've expressed that this wasn't a challenge. So just something to note there. But you're right, these are humongous service areas. And while we are asking these food hubs to do ever more, we want to acknowledge that all of them are going beyond their regular service areas to serve small food retailers in our consortium. So we want to extend a huge thanks to them for that and the way that's going to help us address food access issues and all of the challenges in that we discussed. Susan, if you don't mind, I just want to get to our next topic of discussion, which is the consortium tax credit. We will have a lot of time to talk at the end about, all of the things. So thanks for your patience. Okay, so this is a pretty time-sensitive opportunity that I want everybody to be aware of. This is an exciting tax credit opportunity for retailers in our consortium. So as we've mentioned, the delivery fees that small food retailers incur were identified as a big challenge and something the Colorado legislature wanted to directly address, right? So there is a tax credit available just to retailers in this consortium, right? So it's only for you guys. And we are going to get into it together. So if you're in let me go back. If you're in this consortium member resource folder, you'll see a folder just for this tax credit. Feel free to jump in there and check it out. So the credit is for fees that retailer consortium members incur on deliveries of healthy foods. So think about how much your store, your business, is charged every year in these fees. Could be a freight charge, a shipping charge, pallet fee, pallet break fee. Fees may be tacked on to your invoice that are, because you don't have a loading dock and the driver has to hand deliver every box, or fees incurred for the requirement that your delivery vehicle or the delivery vehicle used to deliver is temperature controlled. All of these things count as delivery fees, and some of you might be really familiar with paying these fees on a weekly basis. So yeah, think about how much that adds up to over the course of a year. This tax credit this year will be for 85% of those fees that your business can prove it paid. So this year it's 85%. Next year, every year through 2030, it's 75%. I don't exactly know why the percentages are different. This year is a little bit better, but we will have access to this tax credit for a good number of years. So if you're feeling maybe a little overwhelmed by this opportunity that we're going to present, don't worry, it will still be available next year and the year after, the year after. So I do also want to mention this is different from the equipment tax credit. You don't have to be a consortium member. You do have to be a small food retailer or small family farm and buy eligible equipment to get that tax credit. This tax credit on delivery fees is just for members of the consortium. Similar though to that tax credit, it's refundable. So both the equipment tax credit and this consortium tax credit is a refundable tax credit. So your credit that you get will be subtracted from what you owe in taxes to the state, not your federal taxes. Minus this credit. So if you owe less than the amount of your credit, you will receive that remainder back in the form of a check. So again, you know, as an example, let's pretend your business pays $10,000 in the calendar year for these kinds of fees. If you were able to submit all those invoices and prove that you paid that, you'd get a tax credit for $8,500. So that would be subtracted from the taxes you owe to the state of Colorado, and anything different will be paid to you in the form of a check. So as you can see, this is a really exciting opportunity to support your bottom line and help your business stay viable, and continue to serve customers who have limited options to buy healthy food. So yeah, any questions about the tax credit at this point? We are going to go into the nitty-gritties of how to apply and submit your application. But I want to pause there to see if anyone has questions. Maria, would you like to ask?
Yeah, Mickey, is this just for, this is not the equipment tax credit, this is the fees tax credit, correct? That you're
Yes,
talking about. Okay,
exactly. Yeah, so two separate tax credits. Right now, we're just going to be talking about the tax credit on these fees.
okay.
Yeah. Dr. Pena.
No, I'll wait until the equipment discussion.
So we're
'Cause,
actually not going to talk about the equipment in this meeting today, but we can schedule a time to chat about the equipment tax credit after this meeting. Or if everyone wants to talk about it, we can do it at the end. Does that sound good?
That's, yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Matt, did you have a question? You are on mute, unfortunately, though.
Yes, to clarify, these are delivery fees that are associated with procuring just fresh, healthy foods, or is it supplies? Like, is it just on food items? Is that, yeah?
It's just for healthy food. That's
Okay.
a very good question. We're going to talk about it at length. But yes, the legislation says this is only, this is only a tax credit for delivery fees on healthy foods. So we'll talk about what we're asking folks to do to break down those fees.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Another question is, can it be from others than just the food hubs? Yes. Any distributor or farmer who sold you healthy foods and charged you a delivery fee, those fees can be are eligible for the tax credit. Does this include delivery fee of animals to process and beef pickup from processors? So this is just for small food retailers on the fees they get on the delivery of the items they buy. Let's see, any other questions from the chat? Any other questions at this time?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
So you're saying this is only on delivery fees for small food retailers. This does not include delivering, like as a small farm, delivering to food hubs or other retailers?
No, it's just for the fees that a store or another retailer, like a farm stand, buying other healthy food products to kind of bulk up what they sell at their farm stand. If they incurred a delivery fee on that, that is eligible.
Got it.
And if you as a farmer deliver to a store, and you sort of separate out your delivery fee, the store can then apply for a tax credit for that delivery fee.
Okay. I think I understand.
Okay.
Mickey,
Well,
I have a
feel free to-
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't figure out the raised hand thing on here. I'm on my phone. So if you as a farmer purchase, use small volume, whatever that thing is, I always get it wrong, license to purchase from other farmers, but you pick up, is there a way to address?
Unfortunately, so we thought about this a lot because we know that a lot of stores, retailers, et cetera, have to go pick up their product. Unfortunately, and we talked about this at length, it does come down to what it says in the legislation is allowable. So we don't have a way to, have a pickup fee be eligible. It would be if they deliver to you and charge a fee for it.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I thought that question would come up, so I'm glad you asked it, Perdita. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, Mickey, I have one last
Yeah.
question. So I guess what is there somewhere we can refer to that would separate like what the state considers healthy food? I mean, I know produce and all of that, yes, but like your canned foods and your things like milk, eggs, cheese, whatever, that type of stuff. Say you get it from elsewhere and it's mixed in with like candy and your grains and all of that. Does that, like, do we need to break that out as well?
This is a really good question, Maria. This is exactly what I'm gonna walk through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, this is very, the perfect question. So I'm gonna start this out by saying we recognize this is going to be administratively challenging and a lot of work. So we're doing our best to simplify that process for all of you while adhering to what the legislation says. So we'll walk through our tools. Remember, this is the first year, this is the first time we're offering this. So we would love your ideas for how to make this simpler. And your feedback on how this process goes. I think one good way to think about this is for every invoice you're working with, how much time does it take to process the invoice and put it together in the packet and submit it? With, how much money will you be getting back as a tax credit? So if it takes 20 minutes for each invoice, that's definitely a lot of time, but if you're going to get $200 back as a tax credit, you can think about that as your new rate of $600 an hour, which, you know, might be worth it to you. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this will all be up to you guys if this, you know, if this is a valuable use of your time. So we're going to go through it all together here. These are the 4 simple steps. The biggest one being the first 2. So first things first, gather all of your invoices from this calendar year that contains the purchase of healthy foods, and we'll get into your question, Maria, of what does healthy food mean, along with the proof of payment. So you've all worked with the state before. We need not just a receipt, not just an invoice, but also proof that your business paid that invoice. So then going through and circling, highlighting the eligible foods and the eligible fees. In some cases, we may need to prorate that delivery fee based off of the percentage of the invoice that was for healthy foods. It will be very, very important to be really intentional and organized with how you assemble your packet of invoices with a really clear cover sheet that will go through together what we're looking for on each invoice, and then submit your application. The application submission process is truly just uploading your packet, but we'll need that before December 31st for any invoices coming in from the calendar year of 2024. So right now, I'm going to go directly to this link here. In this folder I've been talking about. Okay, here it is, your consortium member resource folder. So as you know, these are the pages that describe your Food Hub benefits, so please go check on those. But we are going to look right now at the consortium tax credit folder. Can everybody see this screen? Great, okay. So there's 3 pages in here. This page is the set of instructions. This page is the template cover sheet, and this page is an example. It's a totally fake, made-up example, but hopefully this will be a helpful thing for you to view to see what we're looking for as a final product. So we're going to go through each together. Okay. So, all right. So this basically spells out in more detail the steps we just talked about. So gather your invoices for healthy foods that contain a delivery fee. So here's a reminder of all the things that are eligible delivery fees. You might incur a different fee that is not listed here, but is a delivery fee on the delivery of healthy food to your business. If you have a fee that's not listed here, please include it and give us a description of what the fee is. Yeah, and we will consider that as well. I do also want to note that if you are ordering from a distributor who sends summaries of the categories of food, so, you know, fresh produce, dairy, you can send us that instead of the itemized list of every single item. So, yeah, if your distributor does break things up and categorize things that way, this could be a little bit more streamlined for you. Okay, Maria, here's your question. So what are healthy foods? They're most things, honestly. What they are not, non-food items. So paper towels, beauty supplies, magazines, that's not healthy food. Alcoholic beverages is not healthy food. Sugar sweetened beverages, candy, cannabis products, and if your business has an arm that's prepared food, so if there's a coffee shop or a pizzeria or yeah, a deli associated with your grocery store, and the products that you're buying are for those prepared foods, that does not count towards the healthy foods that we will issue a tax credit for the delivery of. So Maria, does that help? I know this is definitely, yeah, a list of things that are not eligible, but you don't need to separate out whole grain bread versus white bread.
So from this information, do you prorate percentage wise what's eligible and what's not?
Maria,
of the delivery
it's like
fee?
it's like I staged you in the audience to ask a question. Yes, that's exactly what happens. So we'll talk about how we're going to do that. So I put this here knowing that this may be impossible, but as an idea, if it's possible from your distributor going forward, if you really want to take advantage of this tax credit, if they'll send you a separate invoice that only contains the eligible products, something to consider. I understand if it's just not possible. So assuming it's not possible, exactly what Maria said, we are going to be prorating your delivery fee based off of the percentage of your order that is eligible food. So if your order contains mostly cigarettes and $1 worth of an eligible food item, maybe you want to consider not wasting your time with that invoice because most of the delivery fee isn't going to be eligible. But what you'll want to do is highlight items that are eligible, or in the case of that categorized invoice, you'll want to highlight the categories that are eligible. Total the cost of those eligible items and the total cost, of the entire order. Determine the percentage of eligible items as a percentage of the total order. And then you'll want to total all of the eligible distribution fees and take that percentage of the eligible fees as the amount you are requesting from us. So I'll go over this again when I show you the cover sheet and our example. But that's what we're looking for in the prorating. The next thing we need for every invoice is the proof that you paid it. So this could be a bank statement or a cleared check showing that the invoice you're providing and you're asking for a tax credit on was actually paid. So this is kind of a standard thing with seeking reimbursement from the state. Taxpayers need to know that their money's being spent in a fully foolproof way, right? So I'll show you examples of what we're looking for with proof of payment. And then a cover page. I'll show you what our cover page template looks like. And then we want a combined one packet. I understand some of these packets are going to get huge. So if you need to separate it into multiple packets, that's okay. Just make sure whatever the cover sheet shows, the cover sheet should tell us a summary of what's in each packet. And then it'll be time to submit your application. So the link to the application is here on this instruction sheet page. You'll note that this application link is not on the website. I want to remind you all, this is an opportunity just for you guys. So we're not putting this link out on the website because we don't want to confuse people who aren't in this consortium that this is for them. It's just for retailers in this consortium. Okay. So Next, I will, see, did I get through everything? Okay, sorry. Then CDA is going to process those applications on the same timeline as the equipment tax credit that Dr. Pena was talking about. We will basically receive all of the tax credit applications in one big pile from the consortium members and from folks looking for equipment tax credits, and we're going to sort them. At the top of the list is going to be all of these consortium tax credits. Those applications will be reviewed and awarded first before all of the equipment tax credits. Then, assuming everything looks good, you will receive your certificate and then file your taxes. Quick reminder that the actual amount you'll get back or the actual amount of taxes you'll owe to the state has to do with a lot of other factors, not just our consortium member tax credit. So the Department of Revenue handles, whatever comes back to you. So once we sort of tell them, okay, this business is owed this amount in a tax credit, then it kind of goes to them and they handle the rest. So I do just want to remind everyone, all of this is below here in Spanish. Okay, so next I want to show you the template of our cover sheet. So you do not have to use this template. Whatever template you do, whatever cover sheet you do submit should contain all of the information that we're requesting on this template though. So you could see this in your folder. What you're going to want to do is go to File, Make a Copy. So this copy will be something that you can edit yourself. And we do have all of this red text here. This is to help you fill out the cover sheet, but you can just delete it all when you're done filling this out. So, again, this cover sheet is going to be the first page that we see when we open up your packet. It should have your business name, your consortium member number. So everyone should receive their consortium member number via email. We're going to be sending that consortium member number to you every time we communicate with you, just so you don't lose it or forget it. We're also looking for a date range for the submitted invoices. Okay. And then to Maria's question about how to prorate, this should help a bit with what we are asking on each invoice. So this first column says invoice number and supplier. A little bigger. So this should correspond. We should be able to flip the page and see the invoice number that you've listed here as the first page. And so all of this should be in order of how you've ordered them in the packet. That will really speed things up quite a bit. Proof of payment, you can say, March statement from First National Bank. Basically, this column is just a double check that you submitted it, because this is the most commonly forgotten part of packets that are submitted. And then we'll want the total value of the products that you ordered. So this includes the energy drinks, the cigarettes, the beer. This is the total value on your invoice of the products. This column is just the value of the eligible healthy food products ordered. So this is where, in most cases, this number will be smaller than this number. Maybe it's the exact same number though, because everything you ordered was eligible. Here, you will put the percentage of eligible products. And then next, you will total the delivery fees that are eligible. So you maybe charge other fees, but if they're not related to delivery, they're not eligible. So we want to see that total from your invoice of what the delivery fees are, and then you'll essentially you'll multiply this number times this number for this total. And that's the total you'll be getting from this invoice. So you'll do that for all the invoices you want to submit. Feel free to add more rows below here. If you want to add a row, you can just click this plus and you hover over it. And then you'll want to add up all of these totals. This is the number that we will take 85% of and issue to you as a tax credit. So next, I want to show you that example. Where did I put it? Okay. All right, so if you click on this, you should be able to see, this is sort of just a made up example of what we're looking for. So here you'll see that cover sheet, the name, consortium number, percentage that's eligible, and then you'll see, with this packet, they're requesting a tax credit on their delivery fees, which totaled $886. Okay. Second page, here's that invoice, right? They've highlighted the eligible products. They've not included, oh, can you guys not see my screen? I'm sorry. Thank you for saying that, Taylor. All right, let me open it up in a different way. I think I'm viewing a preview. Okay. Can you guys see it now? Okay, thank you. Thank you again, Taylor. Sorry, I was rambling on there. Okay, this is in your packet, or sorry, your consortium member resource folder. So here you can see that example of the cover sheet. Scrolling down to the first invoice, we can see the invoice number, the date. We can see that the invoice was for your store, right? That's going to be very important for us to verify. And then you can see that, oh, you're still not seeing it.
I'm seeing it, Mickey.
I'm seeing it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be on my end then. I'm sorry.
I see it. Yeah.
Well, Taylor, oh, okay. Taylor, if you go into the folder, you can view it on your own screen.
Yeah, no worries. I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. All right, so we're looking at the second page of the packet. You can see all of the highlighting and the math that was done. You can see that the tobacco products were omitted from this total and that the delivery fees are clearly spelled out, right? So if we go back to the cover sheet, all those relevant pieces of information are in that line for that invoice, and it all matches up, which is what we will be looking for. And then importantly, you can see that they've included the bank statement. So, we can see that it's the bank, the account is in the business's name. And also importantly, you can see that they've redacted things that we don't need to see, not related to this invoice. They've been blacked out. Okay. And also, we're looking at this number, these dates, this name to make sure it matches what we're seeing here. This is the same supplier. This number matches, right? This is what we're going to be doing for every single invoice you submit. So more organized, clear you can be. Feel free to handwrite notes in the side, send in clarifications. Sometimes distributors use shorthand. So if it's not abundantly clear, feel free to clarify it for us. Okay. All right, going back to, okay, so then once that packet is compiled, you will click the application link. So here's what you'll see. And the application's pretty simple. It's asking for your business name and your tax ID. So one really important thing to remind you guys is this needs to exactly match the way you file your taxes and the way you're registered as a business. So once we convey this information to the Department of Revenue, they're going to issue the tax credit based off of what we tell them and who we tell them it's for. So make sure this is accurate. It will create a lot of back and forth if it's inaccurate, right? And then you'll see a lot of check boxes. This is just for you to make sure you did everything. You know, I understand this is I'm only seeking a credit for the deliveries of healthy foods. You know, I've done the math, I've triple checked my math. This is all in one packet, etc. Please review all of these and check these boxes, all of them, to ensure that you've compiled this with care. And then if there's anyone else that you want to be notified about the progress of this tax credit application, feel free to write their name in this, or sorry, write their email in this field. And then the last step is to upload that file that you worked so hard to create. So you'll just, click this button and you'll see all kinds of options for what to upload, and then press submit. So I know I've maybe made this sound simple, but it's not going to be. It's going to be a lot of administrative work. And if you need support with this process, I highly encourage you to check our website. Ad and I, if you want to drop that link in the chat, or the page on our website that shows how to contact the outreach and technical assistance contractors in your area. In some cases, they can even come to your store and help you with all of this paperwork, as needed. So I do just want to put that out there and remind all of you guys, there is help. So oops. That concludes my long spiel about the tax credit and how to apply. I want to take questions on this tax credit from all of you. Feel free to just come off of mute and ask your questions. Okay, here's a question for you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So my brother and I'm Everett. I'm out in Nukla with goodies. My brother and I, he actually goes and buys from other retail stores, sometimes in Utah, Moab, but mostly in Grand Junction. That's how we were able to do our operation this year. So we just now got involved with 1 or 2 distributors. We haven't really gotten any deliveries yet this year. Do you think it's worthwhile to try and backtrack on our own stuff to recover a tax credit, or should I just be way more diligent with that aspect of what we do this coming year? Or should I just try to move away from having us do that and try to just become more involved with getting other vendors to deliver to us? We just took it on ourselves because it was the only way we could do it. So, so I don't know that I can take advantage of this credit this year. But
yeah, this is a really good question.
I also asked specifically for money for a refrigerated truck so that we could hire somebody here and kind of do a little bit of a local delivery in the area. So the person who asked from Cortez, I wanted to get a hold of you too, but maybe that's not appropriate for now. So maybe this is more specific to me and it's not good use of this time. So
No,
I don't know.
I don't think it's just specific to you. I think it's, yeah, a lot of big themes to talk about here. So what I can say from what's allowable for the tax credit is if a company that is not your own company delivered products to you and charged you a delivery fee, that's what would be eligible. So,
Okay.
You can think about that retrospectively, like, did that happen? And then think about, okay, going forward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I guess I'll need to think about it. I mean, we want to get involved with distributors and stuff, but that was kind of our plan, just because we straddle this border here, and we eventually want to like maybe open something up in Paradox as well, just to get everybody between here and our other store. But yeah, sorry, I just we're kind of in limbo on that particular aspect of it, I guess. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
does anyone else want to jump in on that topic? Anyone else kind of dealing with similar struggles?
Well, we're dealing with a different but kind of similar struggle, which is because we inherited the R&R Markets relationship to AFI, Affiliated Foods out of Amarillo,
Mm-hmm.
for, I don't know, maybe 70% of our inventory, the rest being locally in Colorado sourced. They've changed the rules and are now going to require a minimum of $10,000 a week,
Oh.
when we're like more in the $5,000 range. And what that means is we're working with all the other local food-related businesses to see if we can become the hub by ordering for them and not charging a delivery to all our local merchants. Sonia's Convenience Mart, Wynn's Restaurant, Central Oil, the county sheriff, all of them have traditionally shopped at our market. But what we would do is order for them in order to meet that $10,000 requirement. So, maybe we're in that kind of like small, but still larger than a lot of the other operations, like the one in Hotchkiss. We face real serious problems. And as a result of that, we're having to look at a relationship with UNFI, which we're very happy to do because they are doing deliveries to the valley up there in Crestone and down into Taos and Santa Fe, and we're on the road to Taos and Santa Fe. So there are issues that we have a longer term solution to being dependent on AFI. But one of the questions I guess I have, and it's raised because William Piper and others have brought it up, what about meat processing, right? We have to grow the co-op at the market beyond those of us who produce corn, bean, squash, fava beans, brassicas, and all the produce, are all the people who are producing pork and lamb and bison and beef and all kind of goats. And we don't have a processor in the valley that a mobile slaughter unit like the ones they've used, for example, in the Taos area. And I wonder if in technical assistance we could get some direction on where we might go to create such a resource for the valley farmers and ranchers. This is a big priority for us, Mickey, as we reopen the market. We can locally source eggs, for example, from a USDA certified facility here in the valley. There's bison and other things available in the valley. We have a special relationship with the Texas Tribal Buffalo Project for our bison meat. But we really need help on having our own, like a mobile USDA certified slaughterhouse. Thoughts about that, anyone? Is that something that's a shared concern?
Yes, sir. I actually, as part of what we were doing here locally in the West End, I met with the West End economic person. They have hired a grant writer, but at the time they're discussing getting a meat processing plant here in Nucla. That's kind of installed. I think they have a grant writer here now specifically to get that going. I can double check, but she won't start until January. But yeah, that's a huge concern that I have too. I virtually offer no meat products at the moment because, and I've got ranchers all over the place always asking me.
Right. That's the
So
issue for us.
I
We
agree.
can't get locally sourced meat.
Yeah. So there may be something coming up on that end here in the West End area. I just don't know. I don't think I'll know for another couple of months. But
Well, Mickey, I hope
for
I
what
haven't
it's worth.
misspoken or gotten outside the realms of what you all can do.
Not
But
at
I
all.
think if we could talk to technical assistants in your department about how to pursue this issue within each of the food hubs, because I think each one is, almost all of them are facing this issue. In our case, the closest USDA certified kill house is in Westcliff. You know, that's unreachable in the winter unless you go to Walsenburg first, and it's just not practical. So, yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, well, I love that this discussion is happening because this is exactly a perfect segue to the last part of our meeting today, which is what do we want this consortium to be? What is rising as an issue? You know, this meat processing issue, if like we can identify that as a primary concern, then we can start to pursue that as a coalition of small food retailers. You know, we have buying power, and we can pursue that together. So obviously, the department has a lot of ideas for what other directions this group can take in service to expanding that access to healthy food, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, small grocery stores in rural areas or in urban areas that where there are a lot of people without transportation, these businesses need to stay alive, right? So what else can this group do that benefits everybody? And the way we want to, I'm just going to skip ahead here. We want to collect some initial feedback from all of you. I've seen that some folks have filled out this survey. We're calling it a needs assessment. Please fill this out and we can start to map out what you guys are bringing up. If you fill it out, but you want to say more, you can fill it out again. We are going to be wanting to constantly understand what are the growing needs of each group, or sorry, of all of the business types that we have in this group, and how can we use this consortium to try to address these problems. So some things that have come up in the planning and stakeholder engagement for this consortium include, you know, maybe some SNAP authorization support. That's definitely a challenging process. WIC authorization support. It's another even more challenging process in some ways. You know, for some stores that are newer, maybe this is the first time there's retailing fresh produce. Can others in this group share best practices, or can CDA provide some, sessions where we go through retail best practices? Connection to similar business types, right? You know, maybe it is really helpful to, if you are a carniceria, to talk to another carniceria in another part of the state and just understand what challenges you're going through together. There's also a huge use case for creating these regional subcommittees so that we can do that connection of businesses or collective ordering that, you know, we're starting to talk about even in this first meeting. Regional field trips. I mean, it's always fun to go to a similar business's operation and learn a lot from that. And then, of course, other funding opportunities. This is going to be something we do through our newsletter, right? We're going to be blasting out every opportunity we come across, whether it's through the Department of Agriculture or another state agency or otherwise, that seems relevant to your business type. But we can also bring in guest speakers to these kinds of meetings to share more about how to take advantage of those funding opportunities. So these are just some ideas that we have, but we want this to reflect what you all desire of this group. So I highly encourage you to fill out that survey. Adonai, do you mind putting the links in the chat? We've got one in English and one in Spanish. So yeah, please fill that out, and we'll be looking at that to map out a plan for this group in the near term and in the long term. So yeah, what have I missed in the chat here? And does anyone have any comments, questions, topics that you'd like to bring up with the whole group? I see that Nick Chambers has joined us. Hi.
Hi.
Nick is with Valley Roots Food Hub. We did some introductions of the other food hubs, Nick, earlier in the call. So if you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Yeah, apologies for missing the start time. Yeah, hi everyone. Nick, Valley Roots, down here in the Valley. And Devin, we got to talk. I just sent you a couple of emails. We'll come to you every week, 51 weeks per year. Meat, dairy, produce, value added. And the other thing we can do, what we've done for a lot of producers, because our meat processing is far and few between, is do the transport from butcher to the store or from whatever it needs to be. So let us know and we'll connect and get you taken care of.
Awesome. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of requests for links. These are links to the survey. And then Leanne, I'm going to just direct you to the consortium member resource folder for the link. Oops, there's an extra period there. The link to the tax credit application and all of the instructions and the cover sheet and that example we went through together. Yeah. Any other comments, questions to go through, to talk about together as a big group?
I have a question, and it really pertains to like the big picture and the ultimate goal that we're all have in common, supposedly, right? And would you say that that is to build up a local food supply chain across the state? Is that ultimately what we're after?
So that's a good question, Eileen. I'm going to direct our attention back to the purpose of the program. So our primary goal here is to make sure that we're increasing access to healthy food for low income and underserved areas of the state. So that's the primary goal. Are people able to easily get ingredients for dinner, groceries, healthy, fresh food, no matter where it's from? That's the primary goal here. As we know, there are a lot, like William brought up, he is establishing that business where people can easily get healthy foods, but he's not able to supply his store with meat despite there being cattle ranchers all around. So that's a natural step for us to try to bridge together, right? But I do want to keep our primary focus on expanding the availability of healthy food in low income and underserved communities. And that's why this group is very focused on benefits to retailers. There's a lot of power here in, this group of these intrepid business owners who have kept a grocery store open in areas that it's really challenging to do that. So are farmers a big part of this? Definitely. But instead of this primary goal being to establish like a statewide network, yes, we want to do value chain coordination. Yes, we want to connect farmers to more opportunities for markets, but we do want to kind of keep our eye on the prize as spelled out in legislation. This is about people being able to buy groceries easily, right? Does that help?
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
So it's sort of both and all of it. And then also kind of leaving a blank space here for you all to fill in that blank, right? Good big picture question. Any other comments, questions? We just have 10 minutes left, which is, maybe we'll just keep ourselves together. Go ahead, William.
I have one. This summer I saw a national, I guess, a competition for a big, huge kind of grant, specifically to build like a food network. Is that something the consortium as a whole is willing or wants to apply for? Or are we like an eligible group like that to apply to like a national type of grant?
I think that it depends on what the grant's requirements are, but yeah, if it's open to governments, we would totally be an eligible applicant. If not, we could brainstorm a way that, yeah, maybe a subgroup of this consortium wants to be the main applicant. But yeah, I think knowing about bringing in other opportunities is a really exciting and important part of keeping this work going. And yeah, I think that's a great addition.
Right. I just I tried to go for it this summer, and it's way more than I could to do myself chew off. So I kind of figured if people were open, I know maybe I'm a little far from other people in the consortium, but it's something I would like to look at again. Maybe if another one comes up, they're more for like long term. At least the one I looked at. So yeah. Anyway.
Michelle, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I dropped two things into the chat. One is the USDA Regional Food Business Center. That is a multi-state project. I encourage you to go look at that. They have identified meat processing and supply chain as a priority issue for our region. CSU is kind of leading this work with a bunch of other partners, but if you're interested in learning more, there is some work happening there. And then the other one, just in terms of that great question more about food system work, some of you may be familiar in the past, CSU and the Department of Ag and other partners have had a statewide food summit. This year, there are now regional convenings. So instead of doing one big event in Denver, there are 5 different regions and you can get involved. So click through on that link as well. If you go into that page, you can go to the link that says see which organizations are hosting in your region. And I really would encourage you as retailers, as farmers, to get involved in your region. The whole intent here is to then inform statewide, excuse me, work around food systems. So if meat processing capacity is an issue in your region, let's elevate that conversation through this opportunity. And potentially through the consortium as well. So I encourage you to look at both of those. If you have questions, I'm happy to talk more about that separately as well, if that's helpful.
Well, I think what Michelle just said and what Carrie said in the chat is, you know, leading me to sort of this next part. It's like, there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of ideas. Let's use that shared folder to keep track of all of these things. So yeah, we'll want your feedback on like, what do you want to hear about? How do you want, what will you be referencing again? We talked about earlier. So yeah, that's CDA's role in this, is to kind of collect all that's said, all that's discussed, and keep it for you in a way that we can kind of build on and grow with. So yes, we'll collect. This meeting is being recorded, so we have those. We'll be putting that in your folder. And yeah, we'll make a point to document all of these grant opportunities that we've talked about so that you can follow up on them later. And we'll be wanting to think about a really easy repository for all of these opportunities too, going forward for the time that this consortium is around, which, to remind everyone, the legislation establishes this consortium to exist through the end of 2030. So that's our time frame we're looking at here. Yeah, as a reminder.
I had a question about some places that were referenced to. For example, the UNFI, what is that? And then the AFI, I have no idea what they're referring to.
Good question. So they're both national distributors. So if anyone who works with these guys wants to jump in, feel free. But from what I know of them, Affiliated Foods, the nearest hub is based out of Amarillo, and they have a variety of products. And then UNFI, I can't remember what UNFI stands for, but they definitely, from my understanding, carry more of kind of those like organic products or health food focused products. Go ahead, Dr. Pena.
I can help answer. The thing about AFI though is that it costs to become a member. It's a co-op. It's a distribution co-op designed to help small grocers and medium-sized rural grocers compete with Walmart. That's why it exists. And it also requires membership in Tri-State Bakery. Our cost was 38 grand. So there's an entry barrier to AFI. You can't just like join. And then of course, now they've increased our weekly order from 5 to 10 grand, as I mentioned earlier. So that's not a real viable option. I have a fear for most people here. Now, UNFI is United Natural Foods Incorporated. And through the good graces and help of a VP at Natural Grocers, Alan Lewis, we're plugging into them. And they're very important because our business plan, we only have a population of 640. We cannot sustain the San Luis People's Market as a community-owned food co-op unless we can sell our product out of the incubator commercial kitchen project to the Front Range. And what UNFI will allow us to do is to send our products up to the Denver area where it'll be distributed to natural grocers and other retailers. They're happy to do this as part of their search for minority vendors. So that's something to think about, everyone, is that relationship to UNFI. And the last time we checked, we'll be going up to Denver to meet with them in January. But the last time we checked, the minimum order was 1,500 rather than 5 or 10 grand. I don't know if that's still the case, but I would check on those two things before trying to join one of these regional distributors. AFI is pretty big. They've got, I think, they're up to 12 states. And it's a pretty big organization, but the cost is an entry barrier. So, and I don't know if that's increased. We didn't go to the annual meeting this past year. We couldn't. And so I don't have an answer to that, but I have a feeling that new members will face an even higher cost barrier to joining a distributor like AFI. UNFI is probably your best bet. AFI does have very good organics now. We've pressured them since we joined, and they've responded pretty well. But I think that's because of consumer-driven preferences. But the cost differential is there. I think UNFI will do it cheaper, and then the idea of using UNFI to help us develop our own distribution network to get our local product out of the valley and out of San Luis makes a lot of sense for our own business plan.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for weighing
maybe,
in.
thank
Go
you
on.
so much for that information. As he was speaking, I am brainstorming and I'm thinking, so that would probably be another big,
You turn your supplier into your distribution system, right? Instead of just being one way, you become proactive and you kind of in a way subvert their distribution system into your distribution system if you're producing local product and you need to expand your markets, which would be a good thing because that creates more agricultural wealth that stays in our communities,
Mhm.
which is what we want to do.
So maybe the state would look at assisting small retailers or with those barriers to
Mhm.
get into one of those distribution, I guess, becoming part of that. Because
Yeah.
we have to go out of state, we look at California to bring our things in.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would rather stay local if at all possible. But I just haven't been able to do that.
Well, this is, yeah, exactly what we're hoping. If you fill out that survey, we can kind of map out a sense of where are people ordering, what are they still struggling with, and where can we try to make some connections, make some progress, advocate on behalf of small food retailers, and move forward. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. This was really fun to hear all of your thoughts, and keep an eye out for an email with information about the next meeting. It'll be in the next quarter. I think it sounds like we all would benefit from connecting with each other. So I may be sending a request to to ask if your permission to share contact information with the rest of the group. And we'll get this going. So thank you so much for being here today. I'm available for questions and we're looking forward to starting this work. So see you guys next time. Have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.